Hello, Purna. Can you hear me? Am I
Yes, sir.
audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. And the screen is visible. Hello.
No, sir.
The screen is not visible now. The
It's
chapter.
showing your screen sharing, but it's not visible.
Oh, just a minute. Oh, can you see the screen? Check how do
Yes, sir.
organism reproduce. Now we can see, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So today we will be starting with sexual reproduction. Okay. So we will wait for a few more minutes and then we will start the class.
Okay, sir.
Hello, students. Good evening. Hello, students. Can you all hear me? Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so we will start. If others are coming, let them join later. And we discussed till in this chapter. I think some of you didn't attend evening class. So, but anyway, we actually discussed about as of now for the revision. We started with how do organism reproduce. We discussed about all the methods of um, asexual reproduction. Okay, we discussed a few important things like how do organism reproduce, why do organism reproduce, DNA copying mechanism, and then importance of variation, and then significance of sexual reproduction and significances of asexual reproduction, and then all the asexual reproduction methods like um, binary fission at definite orientation, binary fission at any orientation, multiple fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, spore formation, vegetative propagation, and plant tissue culture. So these are all the different type of asexual reproduction methods in simple unicellular organism and multicellular organism. So we discussed about all these methods with proper example. Okay, so now we will discuss about uh, the sexual reproduction methods. Okay, so you need to be very cautious in these things. Like in two different aspects, we will be discussing this. One is the sexual reproduction in plants, and then sexual reproduction in animals. Okay, so plants and animals. Okay, so two important things we discuss today, right? So, what is the significance of sexual reproduction? In last class, we saw significance of sexual reproduction is genetic recombination. Okay, significance of sexual reproduction is genetic recombination, and then does it mean two parents are required, or one single parent itself the sexual reproduction is possible?
Parents are required, sir.
Hmm? No, actually, no. Because in plants, if you look at in humans, if it is unisexual organism, okay, if it is unisexual organism, then two parents are required, like male and female, both sexes are required.
Sir,
But
but
in
two different gametes are required, right?
yeah, correct. Yeah, single parent, but two different gametes. Maybe same parent, but two different gametes are required. That's most important thing. Okay, so genetic recombination and then involvement of gametes. Okay, that's two important things. Okay, involvement of gametes, fusion of gametes, all these things are very important. Okay, in sexual reproductions, maybe a single parent or two parents, but definitely there is involvement of two gametes, male gametes and female gametes. Okay, so that's the main important thing about the sexual reproduction. Okay, fine. Now, so how can you answer this question? Why is the sexual mode of reproduction? Means the significance. Why we need to prefer this method? Why organism prefers this method?
For
Sexual mode of
variation,
reproduction. Hmm?
variation, for
Very
variation.
good. Very good. So variation, one important thing. Fine. Sexual is a source of variation in population of organism. Okay. Very good. And then what else? How? Can I ask you one more question? In sexually reproducing organism, how the integrity of genome is maintained? For example, first generation, second generation, third generation, like that it goes on. Here the information is transferred, here the information is transferred and goes on. Okay, how this genetic level integrity is maintained in sexually reproducing organism? You can connect this with the process of meiosis. Okay, in meiosis, for example, male is there, female is there, they produce haploid 23 chromosome, female produce haploid gametes. Okay, male produce 23 and then the fuses in the process called fertilization, zygote form, so 46 chromosome. So like that the parent, both parent male and female equally contribute, they both transmit the genetic information and then they fuse by the process fertilization, and thus the integrity of genome is maintained. So every generation, same time, recombination, genetic recombination. So same, see the genome is similar, like all individuals. Okay, all individuals. How what is the percentage of genome similarity in all of our body? Okay, what is the percentage of similarity in genome level? 99.9% of all human genome are similar for many generations. Okay, for many generations, our genome is similar. All human beings. You remember when humans evolved Homo sapiens? When Homo sapiens evolved?
25,000 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, still that no big differences between this. Okay, again, no much differences. In these 25,000 years, maybe 0.1% of differences. Look at that, how the genome is integrated. That's why we are same species now. Okay, 25,000 years ago, Homo sapiens evolved. If you compare the genome with now, it is same, almost the same. Very few percentage of differences, means 0.1 to 0.3%. Only that much differences we have. See, the sexual reproduction results in variation, but the variation is not significant to produce another species. You understand my point? Sexual reproduction, yes, variation is there, but this variation does not support or produced a new species from human beings. Correct? Can you understand me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So same time. So means we vary with our parents in the characters because something called multiple alleles. What are called multiple alleles? Do you remember? Alleles, multiple alleles.
So the different alleles.
Multiple allele. If listen, more than 2 genes for one character. Okay, more than 2 genes for one character. For example, blood grouping. How many genes we have blood grouping? IA, IB, IO. 3 genes are there. Okay? 3 genes are there. Based upon this combination, we get different blood groups. Maybe A or B or AB or O. But all are coming under what? ABO blood grouping system. All human being comes under ABO blood grouping system. Okay, so means we vary from our parents, but the percentage of variation is very little. We just, the variation is different alleles we get. Apart from that, same type of genes only. புரியுதா நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னு?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
வேரியேஷன் அப்படின்றதுனால நம்ம வந்து செக்ஷுவல் ரீப்ரொடக்ஷன் ரிசல்ட்ஸ் இன் வேரியேஷன். அதுக்காக we should not think that ஜீனோம் லெவல்ல ஒரு 10% டிஃபரன்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் பேரண்ட்ஸ் டு ப்ரோஜெனி, ஜீனோம் லெவல்ல 20% டிஃபரன்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் பேரண்ட் டு ப்ரோஜெனி, எனக்கும் உங்களுக்கும் டிஎன்ஏல டிஃபரன்ஸ் ஒரு இப்போ லைக் ஒரு 50% இருக்கும், சாருக்கும் நமக்கும் சம்பந்தமே இல்ல, சாருக்கும் எனக்கும் ஒரு 50% டிஎன்ஏ டிஃபரன்ஸ் இருக்கும். யூ cannot think like that. All homo sapiens are 99.9% similar only. Okay, just the kind of genes which I have, which you have, may be different. Okay, you get this point? Okay, hello.
Yes, sir.
Students? Yeah, so the sexual mode of reproduction, though variation, but still what I'm trying to say, the genetic level integrity is maintained. That's a very, very important thing. Okay, fine. Now, so in sexually reproducing organism, how the life, something called life span. What is called lifespan? What is called lifespan?
The one which is the reason for the life.
No, what is lifespan? Definition for lifespan.
The amount of period, I mean, the amount of time the particular organism can live.
Yeah, from birth to death. The period from birth to death. Correct?
Yes, sir.
It's a period from birth to death. Okay. How this period is divided in sexually reproducing organism? Hello? You forgot 3 phases in sexually reproducing organism?
Yes, sir. Yes.
What are the 3 phases in sexually reproducing organism? What are the 3 phases? Hello? Forget all of the things? Okay, fine. So please listen. I just rush through to the important
The
aspect.
juvenile
Okay?
phase, reproductive phase, and
Very good.
senescent phase.
Yes, yes, very good. Okay, fine. So this part will go to that soon. So now this part, bisexual mode of reproduction. So that variation also you must say about genome integrity. That's the main important aspect, genetic level integrity. Okay, and then coming to so other important thing we must know is like how this is transferred, how inheritance, like how the genetic integrity is transferred from parents to progeny, in the sense as we discussed earlier, we produce gametes. Okay, from the male produce gametes, sperm cells 23, and then female egg cell 23 chromosome, fertilization, zygote forms, and then develops. Okay, so the number 23 represents what? Chromosomes. DNA is packed into chromosome. Okay, that chromosome number So that is maintained in sexually reproducing organism. Okay, if the chromosome number matches only, like when two type of gametes fuses, fertilization is successful. If the chromosome number varies differently, then not even the type of chromosomes are not matching, no fertilization is achieved. Example, human cell can fertilize only human egg cell. Human sperm cell can fertilize only human egg cell. Okay, no other species sperm cell can fertilize human egg cell because no genetic compatibility. Okay, no genetic compatibility. So that's very, very important. If chromosome matches from two gametes, then only fertilization is achieved. So every organism, underline this is a very important point, every organism, okay, every organism produces gametes by the process of what? Meiosis. Okay, meiosis ensures the genome integrity. Okay, means it produces by the meiosis, the gametes are produced. Gamete possess correct number of chromosomes. Okay, like the gamete possess what? Off number of chromosomes. Haploid. The condition is called what? Haploid. And haploid plus haploid results in diploid zygote. Okay, ploidy means chromosome number. Haploid, haploid, diploid. So keep that in mind. Okay, fine. So that's the main thing about thing. And then zygote forms. Okay, the zygote forms. The zygote develops into organism. Okay, different stages are there. So this is the main important thing. Okay, we should understand about gametes, gamete fusion, all these things. Okay, so now, so let's discuss about two important things. Okay, about sexual reproduction in plants and then sexual reproduction in animals. Listen, and we are, so there are different type of plants, and plant comprises of different kingdoms. In class 9 you would have studied. Just for refreshment, I'll tell you: algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms. Okay, so the 5 divisions of plants kingdom la 5 divisions enna: algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms. These angiosperms and gymnosperms, they are actually the flowering plants. Okay, only the flowering plants prefers sexual mode of reproduction. Okay, flowers are the reproductive organ of the plant. Okay, flowers are the reproductive organs of the plant. Look into the structure of the flower. What it possesses: sepal, the green leaf-like structure called sepal. Okay, and then the colorful region called petals, and then androecium. You can see anther and the filament. So this is the anther and this is the filament. And then stigma style ovary. You can see the stigma, the style, and then the ovary. Okay, so stigma, style, and then ovary. So this is androecium, this is gynoecium, parts of the flower you should know. And then unisexual flower and bisexual flower. You should know about unisexual flower and bisexual flower. What are unisexual flower? What are bisexual flower? Unisexual in the sense they contain either androecium or gynoecium. Okay, or bisexual flower in the sense this is an example of what? Bisexual flower. You have here androecium and gynoecium. So both the sexes, both the reproductive organs are present in the same flower. It is bisexual flower. Okay, so keep this in mind.
Yes, sir.
Okay, androecium, gynoecium, unisexual and bisexual flower. Next. So what is the Role of androecium here. What androecium does? What is the function of androecium? What is the function of androecium? Produces pollen grain. Yeah, male gametophyte pollen grain. Okay. What is the function of gynoecium?
It produces ovum.
Produces ovum. Here we call it as a
Ovule.
term. Yeah. Listen, a technical term for this is actually like pollen grain, or also called what? Micro pollen grain formation. What is it?
Microgenesis.
Microsporogenesis. Female
Macrosporogenesis. Megasporogenesis.
megasporogenesis. Okay. So microspore, megaspore. Okay. And then pollen grain. Common term is pollen grain. Okay. Male gametophyte. And then female ovule, you can say. Embryo sac ovule. Okay. Megasporogenesis, microsporogenesis. Okay. Male gametophyte and female gametophyte formation is the main function of androecium and gynoecium here. Okay. Fine. Now, after as we discussed in our theory classes, do you remember these things like phases of reproduction and events of reproduction? Do you
Yes, sir.
remember? Yeah, phases of reproduction, as you said, juvenile phase, reproductive phase,
Reproduction senescent.
senescent phase. Okay, very good. Events of reproduction. What are the events of
Fertilization, post-fertilization.
wonderful, wonderful. Pre-fertilization, fertilization, post-fertilization. What are pre-fertilization process?
Gametogenesis.
Gametogenesis and gamete transfer
Transfer.
process. Very good. In plants, gametogenesis process is microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. And gamete transfer process is called what? Gamete transfer process is called what?
Pollination.
Pollination. Very good. What are the agents of pollination?
Air, wind, water, insects.
Yeah. Biotic and abiotic components. Very good. Pollinating agents. Okay. See, do you remember Chasmogamous flower, Cleistogamous flower?
Yeah, sir.
What is Chasmogamous flower?
The open flower, the stigma and the stamen are shown outside. They're exposed to the environment, and cleistograms are closed flower.
Very good. Very good. See, what is the significance of the plant having open flower or closed flower?
So closed flower is always self pollination, and open flower it's always it's sometimes cross pollination also.
Cross pollination. Very good. Very good. Okay, it's famous. See, now for the cross pollination to occur, okay, what are the conditions which supports? Even in bisexual flower, it is bisexual flower, ma. Both androecium is there, gynoecium is there. For self-fertilization, cross-fertilization to occur, what condition required? Supporting factor. Get my point?
Pollinating agents.
Do you remember these terms? Non-synchronization. What is called non-synchronization? Do you remember? See, pollen grain. If pollen grain and female gametophyte matures at different times.
Yeah, so their genes should match.
Genetic compatibility. The second one is called what? Genetic compatibility. Okay. Genetic compatibility. Structural, all these things. And then synchronization. Okay. For self-fertilization, synchronization is important. Okay. For cross-fertilization, genetic compatibility is important. Okay. And the flower, it should be non-synchronized. Means pollen should develop at different time, and female gametophyte megasporogenesis should occur at different time. Then only in the bisexual flower cross pollination is achieved. Okay, fine, good. So if you know what is gamete transfer, you know what is gametogenesis. Now fertilization, like as we discussed, cross fertilization and self fertilization. What is self pollination or self pollination, cross fertilization? Cross pollination, self pollination.
Self-pollination, it is between the same, it is between the organs of the same flower
Okay.
or in the flower in the same plant.
Okay, very good. See, now let me ask you one question. What is orthogamy, getonogamy, xenogamy? Do you remember this term?
So orthogamy, I guess it's same plant and same flower. Getonogamy is same plant and different flower.
Getonogamy and
Xenogamy,
xenogamy.
that is two different plants, different flowers from different plants.
Very good, very good. Okay, keep that in mind. Castrogamous flower, clistogamous flower, self-fertilization, cross-fertilization, orthogamy, getonogamy, xenogamy. Okay, fine, very good. So this is about fertilization. Now, what are the events of means the next thing, fertilization in plants. Coming to the events of fertilization in plants, processes connected with fertilization. What is the type of fertilization in plant?
Double fertilization.
Very good, double fertilization. Okay, why it is called double fertilization?
So first the fertilization takes place between the gametes, and then next it takes place with the nucleus of the gametes.
Okay, very good, very good. So listen, just for your understanding, let me draw that structure. This one, for example, this structure I'm going to draw. Okay, so this structure alone I'm going to draw. Okay, like you can see, kuti 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 kuti things are there, and for your better understanding I'm going to draw that alone to make you understand what is double fertilization. Okay, fine. So look at here, the female gametophyte, the ovule is like this. Okay, there are two ends. What are the two ends? Do you remember? This is callosal end. This is micropylar end. And then here you have these two are called what? Synergids. Here one nucleus and cell, and here one nucleus and one cell. These three cells are called what? Here centrally what you have? Egg cell. And then these three cells are called what?
Antipodal cell.
Antipodal. Very good. Antipodal cells. Now in central cell, two nucleus are fused. Is it clear? Two polar nuclei, two nucleus are fused. So this stage is called what? You remember? 7 cell
stage.
And then
8 nucleated.
8 nucleated, 7 celled and 8 nucleated. Very good. So this is how the ovule, okay, the egg sac looks after its development, proper development, structural development. And in this stage only fertilization occurs. Okay. Now you can see here the pollen grain. What is the structure of pollen grain? Do you remember? Pollen grain structure. Hello students, pollen grain structure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Outer cover is called what?
Exine.
Exine. Inner cover is called what?
Intine.
Intine. Here how many cells will be there?
3, sir.
Oi, how many cells?
2. Generative and vegetative cell.
Generative, vegetative cell. And here 60% of the plant releases pollen grain in 2 cell stage, and this pollen grain lands on here. Okay, the pollen grain lands on the stigma. And then this vegetative cell supports pollen tube development. The generative cell again divides. It forms two gametophyte. Okay, two nucleus. Look at that, like that, two nucleus will be there. This two nucleus comes and enters through the micropylar end. Okay, two nucleus enters through the micropylar end. Now, one nucleus, okay, one nucleus. Let me use different color for that.
So pollen grain can also have 3 cells.
Yeah, 40% of the plant will have 3 cell stage only. No, 40% of the plant releases pollen grain in 3 cell stage. 60% in 2 cell stage. Okay. So now the pollen grains through the micropylar end, two nucleus centers. One fuses with here. This forms what? Zygote. 2n. Okay, here 1n already there. This is 1n. Now 1n plus 1n. 2n. Okay, zygote forms. And then here already 2 are there. So one more nucleus fuses with this. So this is what? 3n. Very good. So fertilization. So what is the common term for this? This is called what?
Secondary cell.
No. And the fusion pair enna? Triple fusion. Do you remember triple fusion? Here in the fusion of male and female in the egg and male nucleus. Huh? Correct. Syngamy. Okay, syngamy or fertilization, triple fusion or fertilization. It is called what? Double fertilization in plants. Okay, can you understand this? Plant order fertilization. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, next stage is post fertilization events in plants. What are the post fertilization events? What are the post fertilization events?
Development of the primary endosperm cell.
Yes. Very good.
And then the egg cell develops into seeds, which will basically be in dormancy state.
First, endosperm development, and the 3n form actually, that will develop into endosperm, zygote to embryo. Another on the 2n. But embryo undergoes what stage?
Dormancy state.
Yeah.
Metabolic arrest.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. And then what are the other event? Followed by after germination
and the outer integument of this for the
Yeah.
seed will be formed.
Yeah. Seed coat. Okay. Seed formation. Seed formation from which part? What development to seed?
The zygote.
And then fruit formation. Ovule into seed. Okay. Ovule develop into seed. Ovary, the outer part of the ovary develop into fruit. Okay. Yeah. Listen. Post fertilization events are zygote develop into embryo. Endosperm. Okay, that triple fusion, that part develop into endosperm. So zygote embryo formation, endosperm formation, and then ovule develop into seed coat. Ovary develop into fruit. Ovule to seed, ovary to fruit. Can you understand? And all other parts like sepals, petals, and all fall off. Okay, so these are the post fertilization.
Sir, ovule is already fertilized, no, sir. So it will be embryo only, zygote only, no, sir.
Yeah. See, listen. ovule. No, inside the ovule, you can see egg cell is here. You remember? Listen, this full part is ovule, and here this part is there. No, this is what egg cell. This only develop into embryo. Okay,
Okay, sir.
and this will develop into endosperm. Okay, this will develop into embryo, and this part, the entire part, other part together, it will develop ovule. Together, the rest part of the ovule develop into seed coat. Means you have inner integument, outer integument. Here you can see inner integument, outer integument. So they will develop into seed coat. You can see the inner integument, outer integument, seed coat, and then seed together. Seed inside that your embryo is there. Seed, and then inside embryo is there, and this part will develop into fruit. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So post-fertilization events are zygote divides into embryo, ovule develops into tough coat and converted into seed, ovary grows into fruit. Okay, important post-fertilization events. And then seed. The next process is fruit and seed dispersal. What do they call? In botany, they call what? Seed and fruit dispersal. How it occurs? Seed and fruit dispersal. How it occurs? How it occurs? நம்ம தான் அனிமல்ஸ் தான் இல்லையா? நம்ம சாப்பிடுவோம் ஃப்ரூட்ஸ், தூக்கி போடுவோம் சீட்ஸ. Okay, by different means the seeds and fruits are dispersed by birds, by animals, etc. And then if the seed reaches its proper environment under favorable condition, what occurs? What is the process? Germination. The final process here, germination. And germination results in what? Root formation, shoot formation, and then the development of the plant. Is it clear? This is about reproduction is there in plants. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now, so we will go to, shall we go to reproduction in animals?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Especially humans. So, tell me about human reproduction. Humans are, in plants you have unisexual and bisexual pair, but in humans we are unisexual or bisexual organism.
Unisexual.
We are unisexual organism, and mammals. Okay, we are classified under, in animal kingdom we are classified under what? Mammals. Okay, why we are classified as mammals? Oviparous, viviparous, ovoviviparous. Do you remember all those things? The terms connected with human reproduction. What is oviparous animal? Oviparous animal? Egg-laying animal. Viviparous, live young one producing animals. Okay? All these things, the connected terms you should be aware of. Okay? About humans and other mammals. Okay, fine, good. Now, like as we discussed in plants, in humans also we have juvenile phase, we have reproductive phase, and we have senescent phase. Juvenile phase is between the birth to puberty. Okay. Reproductive phase in women from puberty, menarche to menopause. In men, it is continuous process. Okay, so that you should know. And then the secondary and primary sexual characteristics of men and women. What are the primary and secondary characteristics of men and women? Okay, primary, secondary characteristics of men and women. Some characters are common in both women and girls. Thick hair growing in new parts of the body. Okay, so these are all the genital area between the thighs. We can see darker coloration, and then thin hair in legs and arms, even in face. Okay, pimples, and we are cautious and aware of both our bodies and those of others. So they are common secondary sexual characteristics, and also there are specific primary and secondary characteristics are there in men and women. In girls, you should know what are the basic secondary sexual characteristics, and then in boys also we have special separated sexual characteristics. Okay, so sexual characteristics, secondary sexual characteristics of men and women, you should know. Okay, and all these things are controlled by what? The primary and secondary. Primary means development of male and female reproductive organs. Okay, we develop into male and female means organisms. It starts in the mother's womb. After fertilization, fertilization itself ensures you are male or female, and then the development after the 7th week of gestation, 7th to 20, there we develop into separately into male and female organism. Okay, so that we should know, and then all these changes are controlled by the chemical substance called what? Hormones. Okay, the transition of phases between juvenile phase to reproductive phase to senescent phase, everything are controlled by the chemical messengers. Basically they are called what? Hormones. Okay, hormones only controls the transition phases. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then coming to the, so we should to understand about what is puberty also, and to understand about reproduction in human beings, we must know about the male reproductive system as well as the female reproductive system, the anatomy of male and female reproductive system. Okay, in male, the important components are the testis, okay, where gametes are produced, which is covered by scrotum, a kind of refrigerator, and then there are accessory ducts, especially vas deferens, which collect the sperm cells which are produced, and then of course it is extended till the external genitalia, and then there are glands which are associated. So testis, and then accessory ducts called vas deferens, and then glands. There are different glands like prostate gland, seminal vesicle, and even other pair of gland which is called bulbourethral gland. So the glands are the third part. There, the function of the glands are to produce seminal plasma, okay, which is rich in fructose and other substances, even lubricants also. So seminal plasma is produced by the glands, sperm cells are produced, and finally seminal fluid is produced. And then the common passage, okay, so this is the common passage, okay, even urine drains out from the urinary bladder, ureter, the urine drains out through the urethra, and like that the seminal plasma, semen also passed out, ejected out. And the next portion is called the external genitalia, which is erectile in function. So the external genitalia. So fourth important component. Okay, so the external genitalia, which is erectile in function, so which helps in insemination, means introduction of seminal fluid to the female reproductive tract. Okay, so that is about male reproductive system. And then coming to the female reproductive system, we have like a pair of ovary, which produces ovum, and then oviduct called the fallopian tube, ovary, and then egg cells are produced, and then oviduct, the fallopian tube, and then the uterus with the 3 layers of tissue, inner endometrium, myometrium, perimetrium, and endometrium renovates every month. So that's why menstrual period is there. And then cervix, and then vagina. So these are all the common component of female reproductive system. Egg is produced here and released into the fallopian tube called the process called ovulation, and then sperm cells in intercourse deposited, seminal fluid is deposited here in the vagina, and only the active sperm cells can swim through the cervical cap. So here the sperm cell stays for 2 to 3 days. For what? Capacitation process. So after capacitation, the sperm cell recognizes egg cell, and then fertilization is achieved in this part, fallopian tube. And after fallopian tube, the fertilization occurs, the zygote develops into embryo, and in 1 week, okay, the embryo called blastocyst stage, okay, attaches to the endometrium and grows. Okay, so sperm plus egg, zygote, okay, zygote, and then embryo, like different stages, morula, blastula, gastrula, like that it goes on, neurula, and then organogenesis, all other organs forms, and then fetus. Okay, so it takes the pregnancy here is, these are all the developmental stages. So fertilization, zygote, morula, blastula, 7 days. After 7 days of fertilization, blastula attaches to the endometrium, and then gastrulation, neurulation, organogenesis, everything. It takes 9 months for the fetus to develop. Okay, 9 months for the fetus to develop. And then finally, the fetus is, okay, 3 trimester, they will say, first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, together 9 months basically. And then finally, the fetus is something they call it as what? A rhythmic contraction, something called fetus ejection reflex. Okay, which results in what? Parturition, delivery of the baby. Okay, parturition, delivery of the baby. So fertilization, zygote formation, and baby development, and finally parturition, baby delivery, and followed by lactation. So these are all the stages in human development. Okay, fine. And now, what happens if the egg is not fertilized? It will disintegrate. Okay, if egg is not fertilized, just 1 or 2 days only it can live, it will disintegrate. Okay, but sometimes maybe 2 to 8 days, they call it as 2 to 8 days. Some egg may have more viability, but slowly, like progressive degeneration. It is called progressive. It is not active as the day 1. In the day 8, it may alive, but still slowly, the viability of the cell reduces. Okay, the viability of the cell reduces. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Okay, so sperm cells generally has the lifespan of 7 days, but it should be there in a fluid environment And after that, the sperm cells also will get disintegrated. Okay, fine. So I'll finish the next one quickly. Something called reproductive health. So what is reproductive health? Physical, physiological, psychological, mental, and sexual behavior. Okay, all these things are called what together called reproductive health. Physically well-being, physiological well-being, sexual well-being, and emotional well-being. Together it is called reproductive health. And here in class 10, they focus on just one thing in reproductive health. You should know about the sexually STDs. They call it as what? STDs. STDs means what? Sexually transmitted diseases.
Diseases.
STDs. Sexually transmitted diseases. And they are mentioned here. Some examples are given here, like bacterial viral infections like gonorrhea, syphilis, warts, and AIDS. They are the diseases, pathogenic diseases which can be transmitted through unprotected sex. Fine. So, birth control as well as so the next one is birth control and control from in the pathogenic diseases. It is, as we discussed earlier, it is classified into physical, chemical, and surgical methods. Okay, physical in the sense using condom in men. Okay, like that is one physical device. And then in women, the physical device are actually, they call it as what? Copper T. In women, it is called what? Copper T. In men, condoms. In women, it is called what? Copper T. Okay, it is placed in the intra. It is also called what? IUD. IUDs, intrauterine devices. It is kept in the uterus to prevent pregnancy. Okay, so birth control. And then chemical methods in the sense they prefer to prolong the period, maybe in sports women and all, or to avoid conception. They use different pills, tablets. Okay, so that hormonal injection and pills are used. They are called what? Chemical methods of pregnancy control or whatever you can say. And then surgical methods. So surgical methods are vasectomy and tubectomy. They are, see, physical methods and chemical methods are permanent methods, like surgical methods, vasectomy and tubectomy. Okay, vasectomy and tubectomy means vas difference in male is cut and tied, fallopian tube in female is cut and tied. So no chance for meeting of sperm or egg cells. Okay, so from male, sperm cells will not be released, just seminal fluid is released. In female, fallopian tube tied egg cell may be released, but sperm cell cannot approach egg cell. So the fallopian tube is cut and tied on both the sides. So it is permanent, very difficult to revert this. Once the surgery is done, that's it. Okay, so so that's about the reproductive health and the techniques, birth control techniques, physical, chemical, and surgical methods. Okay, and then like there are many acts and laws which protect the baby. Like as we discussed earlier, the birth rights begins, not even the birth rights, the human rights begins when the egg is fertilized. When the zygote single cell stage itself, it's the right for the life to develop into in a to birth, means to deliver well and to grow well, whatever. Okay, so the family, the individual, and the government should support the well-being of even the zygote. Okay, so life begins with cells, that zygote, and that is like should be protected. Utmost care should be given. Okay, so and no identification of sex or diagnosing of sex, male, female, all these things are not legally accepted. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is about this reproductive health. Okay, so in reproductive health, you should know about the definition for reproductive health, the sexually transmitted diseases the physical method of birth control, chemical method of birth control, and then by surgical methods of birth control, and then the laws, how in reproductions, how the individual, the community, the society, the family, the government should protect the developing child, the embryo, and as well as what so all these things. Okay, fine, good. Okay, anyway, so with this, let me stop, and so study well, do your exams well. Okay, are you all listening?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else you want to ask?
No, sir.
Anyway, yeah, prepare well. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, students. பரவாயில்ல, சேவே பண்றது இல்ல. தேவைப்படாதுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். தேவைப்படாது. ஐயோ. ஃபுல் டைட்டில் கொடுக்கணுமா? இதுவரை அப்படி பண்ணதே இல்லை. அப்படியா? டேட் வேற வேணுமா? என்ன டேட்? நான் நிறைய அழிச்சிட்டேனே. ஓகே. அப்ப